So with all of the hype surrounding D4, it's very easy to let information slip under your radar, and that's exactly what happened to me. There's actually some very interesting interviews with the devs from recent weeks that I've not really seen anyone cover, so that's what we're going to be doing today. There's stuff in here about the Renown system, leaderboards, even raids were mentioned. There's a lot of stuff with potential that people are not talking about, so I really want to do that today. So we're going to start with the Renown system. In a group content creator interview, Joe Shelley and Rod Ferguson were asked about the Renown system. Specifically, are we going to get our Renown reset every season? And they responded by saying they are working on providing a fair start for every player in every season. And in this regard, they are looking precisely at the Renown system, and some things will be resetting every season, but maybe some things will stay account bound. Now, my assumption is they were probably going to reset everything every season, but the second that people started getting the Altars of Lilith and started saying, oh, I don't know if I want to do this every season, I would say they're probably revisiting that. I expect that a lot of the things will still reset, but maybe the items that there's like hundreds of, they won't make you get every single season. I personally don't want to get the Altars of Lilith all the time, but maybe some people will. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Moving on, we're going to leaderboards. They were asked if they would be in the game, and they replied with, yes, leaderboards will be introduced in the seasons, and the developers are looking at competitive events for the leaderboards. An example was used that you could have a leaderboard for the fastest to level 100. However, the devs have expressed concern that they want to escape the trap of the leaderboard. They don't want people to pick the strongest class because most of the top people on the leaderboards are rogue, for example. They're really trying to avoid this and are also trying to figure out how they can make the leaderboards without forcing one character or one build. Now, it does seem difficult for people to accept, even the devs themselves, that when you create a game where the classes are different, there is going to be one best thing, and it is totally unavoidable. However, I do think you can use leaderboards in a way that enable people to play their classes and not feel like they're playing the wrong class. For example, if you have fastest to 100 or dungeon clears on specific classes, not just overall, I think that gives people a lot of options for how they may want to play the game without feeling like they have to be dragged onto that overall one, which will probably have one, maybe two classes that are optimal for reaching those leaderboard limits. This is just a reality of game balance, but who knows? Maybe Blizzard can surprise us. Now, they were asked a question about gambling because in 2019, the devs had mentioned that you would be able to get uniques from the gambling vendor. And when asked this question, they responded with they were not sure and would need to check if this was still the case. However, since then, they have added many super rare uniques that can only be acquired through killing mobs, doing dungeons, or world bosses. So it's not like you're going to be gambling for all the uniques, but there is still the possibility that the gambling vendor will house some uniques in the game. And of course, as mentioned by the devs as well, we've not even seen half of the aspects in the game. I'm sure you've seen this tweet at this point, everyone spoke about it, but it is very interesting and very exciting, and it's going to be nice. There's a lot of places that we can pull uniques, aspects, and all kinds of crazy abilities from. Next up, they actually touched on raids very briefly, and this was in answer to a question about clan functionality and activities. It was said in the interview the clan functionality in the beta was all social. You couldn't form up a group and go on a raid. The developers said that they are looking into this, and in the future we may see something like this. In the future, they will be trying to bring more juice in the clans. One thought that was brought up to the devs was that it would be awesome to form a clan world boss raid and fighting on the same realm, and the developers really like the idea and that they'll be working in this direction. So I know there's a bit of a split in the community with how much team content that they want to have, but I think that at least being able to form a party to go on a raid for a specific boss would be really fun in the game, and it honestly sounds like that's what's going to happen. Maybe not at release, but sometime after. I'll touch on this quickly because they were asked about the battle pass again, and once again they have said the battle pass is purely cosmetic. The only place that we know there are boosts in this game is in the season journey, but again, this is all going to be earned through playing the game, not through paying. I know people are concerned because of Diablo Immortal and just Blizzard in general, but there's still been zero indication that there will be pay to win in this game, and the battle pass is still remaining cosmetic only. Next up, back onto some of the itemization. They were asked if there's going to be gigantic multipliers on uniques like there is in other Diablo games, and they said that they are really looking to escape forcing the player to use particular items or skills. Meta, basically. Now, I've already mentioned why they can't really avoid this, but this is the reason that there are no sets in the game on release, because the devs are trying to be careful and sets steal the choice from the player. You'll just want to use the set pieces and it simplifies the choice and the build choice. As I mentioned before, I think you really have to have leaderboards specific to classes to avoid this anyway. There is going to be a best thing in the game. I appreciate that they are at least trying to keep that as balanced as they can, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens when the game is out. Next up, they were asked about Runewords, because Runewords were shown in an early version of the game. Well, actually, Runewords are not coming out in Diablo 4. They've tried to work it into the game, but the way that the itemization has turned out, they cannot find a way to fit it in without, again, it becoming the meta thing, the thing you have to do. This isn't something that they're able to line up with the current builds, and for now, they are not in the game, but maybe they will bring Runewords back later. And then last up from this interview, they were asked if there would be more end game, and the devs said yes, there will be. Now, this is annoying, not because it's a short answer, but because we don't know if this is in relation to launch or post-launch. Is there an end game content in the game for launch that we don't know about, or is this more end game coming in season 1, 2, or 3 or something? I know that a lot of people are hoping for raids. I'm personally one of those people, and I also understand that there is a split there in the community again, because a lot of people just want to play the game solo. However, this game is clearly going in a multiplayer direction, and I would expect to see more group content, not less, post-launch. So aside from this interview, there's been some more information. You've probably seen this tweet here, which is Rod Ferguson confirming that drop rates were tuned higher to give a fuller experience and test during the beta. But I wanted to note this because this is actually referring to drop rates overall and not the drop rates of legendaries. Those are still going to be dropping often when you get drops, and there is a reason for that, which I don't think has been cleared up, but there's actually an excellent video out there by Matt Jestik where he actually covers all of this, and also in a detailed Reddit post. And the point is that the rares and legendaries that we were seeing in the beta are actually kind of the mid-tier. As you start getting past level 50 and up to level 100, we're actually going to be swapping affixes and aspects out on sacreds and ancestral items, and also trying to hunt down unique items as well. Those are the legendaries as a lot of people know them in other games, and I think the fact that they are called legendaries and rares, and the color of them as well in the UI, gave the indication that these are the kinds of weapons that we'll be seeing at end game. But actually, no, they are the weapons that you'll be picking up as you level up. And it's also interesting to note that rares and legendary aspects cannot be put onto sacred and ancestrals. I know there's a lot of words being thrown around here, but basically what we've seen in the game is the lower tier version of those weapons, and at launch we'll actually be moving aspects around on sacreds, ancestrals, and uniques, not legendaries, at least past level 50. Another controversial thing going around in the community is about respecking. Rod Ferguson has actually responded to this to say that respecking is not prohibitively expensive, and that they've made it easier by being able to refund a single skill point or the entire tree at once. Now, of course, we saw this in the beta, but I do think a lot of people would agree that trying to respec something that's at the start of the tree and having to respec the full thing thing currently doesn't feel very good, but it is nice to know that we are going to be able to respec at higher levels. This is something people were concerned about. Hopefully they just make it a little more user-friendly trying to respec, because I think that's just as offensive as the expense, to be honest. It's pretty rough trying to respec. And it's also important to note that respecing has even changed since the closed beta that me and Force played in back in December. The way that the skill tree worked, how the points were distributed, and how the respecing worked was different then to what it was at beta. So it's a very realistic expectation, actually, that at launch it will be different to what it was in the beta, given that that's a similar period of time between the two. I'm very intrigued to see how this works out in the end. I just hope that it's a little more friendly than it was in the beta version. So that's pretty much everything, guys. There was a lot of info that I didn't know in here, so I hope that it helped some of you guys out too. I know there's been a bit of confusion because me and Force are both on this channel, but we've been working together for a long time, actually. It's just I don't speak on his videos. So I hope that you guys can put up with me. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and we're looking forward to bringing more to you guys in the future. Be sure to drop a like if you did enjoy the video, as it helps us out and lets us know you're enjoying the content, and let us know what you guys think to any of the stuff we discussed today in the comments. Be sure to have a great day as always. Take care and peace, people.